All right, guys, how's it going? Welcome to the LA Xperience podcast. I created this podcast because there's so many awesome stories out there in the bleeding disorder community, in the chronic disorder community, and I just wanted to be able to share them with everyone. I really think that everyone's story has something special in it that you can learn from. And today we have a very special guest, Chris Ingram from Arizona. He's 35 years old. He is a certified coder, and he also teaches at a school. And he is, which I don't know about yet, the Dolce Diet. Is that correct? Dolce Diet coach. Sir. He's a member of the Professional Bowlers Association, and he trained MMA for 6 months. So with all of that, I'm excited. I've got a ton of questions for you. But welcome to the show. How's it going, Chris?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
Well.
So Chris is in Arizona, and it's beautiful out there. Obviously, it doesn't snow here in St. Louis, where we had a winter advisory warning. So I'm stuck in the house and wishing I was in Arizona again.
I don't even know what the weather is here. It's 61.
Yeah.
So we got nice weather.
After high school, I moved to Arizona for 2 years, and I played golf out there, and it was so much fun, man. That weather is just, I think that's where hemophiliacs should live. Like if you're a hemophiliac, you should live in Arizona. Like, I mean, it's just so much better on the joints.
Yeah. The arthritis pain isn't as common. Every now and then I'll get it with changing seasons, but it's not too bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Chris, how about we let the audience know a little bit more about you. When were you diagnosed with hemophilia, and what kind of hemophilia do you have?
So I was diagnosed at 2 weeks old with hemophilia A severe. I believe my factor level is 0.8%.
Okay.
Obviously, if you have it. I don't really check my factor levels. I just infuse and kind of go on with my life. And the story was that I guess I was 2 weeks old, and my mom came to the crib that I was sleeping in a pool of blood.
Really?
My sister always says, like, the first memory she ever has of me, she has a picture of with the needle coming out of my head just for them to get vein access.
Yeah. Wow, man. Why were you bleeding so much?
It was from a circ.
Oh, okay. Okay. Man, so do you have a family? Do you have kids right now?
So I got a 12-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son. My daughter is obviously a carrier. I want to say she was at 54%.
Oh, really? Okay.
But bruises all over.
Wow.
She's like a leopard. She's always spotted with bruises.
Yeah.
You know how active they are.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've got 3 of my own. I know how it is for sure. So how do you, so like your daughter then, like she has like a 50-50 chance, right? Is that correct on passing it on if she has a boy?
Correct.
Okay.
That's what I've been told is 50-50 chance, whether boy or girl, whether carrier or affected.
Yeah.
But even now there's more females being diagnosed with it. My sister just got diagnosed last year and she's 40.
Oh, wow. Dang.
So,
man, I guess it was because it was so uncommon for women to have it. And now they're really starting to look more into it and finding out that, there's more symptomatic women than we thought.
It kind of makes sense because if their numbers fall the same as ours, why are they only carriers versus having?
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense, in my mind on that aspect of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's scary, really, if they're not getting, factor and they need it. So how did we become friends, Chris? When did we become friends? Was it on Facebook or how did we meet?
So the first time I heard of you was probably 2012 or so when I was actually training for men's physique.
You were?
Okay. I never made it on stage.
So what made you learn about like want to get into men's physique?
I was young. I went to the gym, loved it. And I'm like, okay, let's try this.
Dang. See, I didn't even know it existed for the longest time. Like I always thought that bodybuilding was like these huge dudes, that were just like monsters. And I was like, I don't want to look like that. And
it's funny. I like that look. Like for a long time up until recently, man, I wanted to be 200 and like 10%.
Really? Dang.
And then I actually started training over at Metroflex, which
Yeah. Okay. That's a big gym.
so yeah, so and over here we, Dennis James is in my area.
Yeah.
He would come in with Big Ramy, and that, and so I was doing that, and then I heard about you, and then we met over at the Coalition B. I was brought in to help run the games, and we went to the Diamondbacks game.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome, man. Yeah. So why did you end up stopping? What made you ultimately be like, you know what? I don't want to pursue men's physique.
I still don't have a good answer.
Really?
Both the times I was going into contest prep and I lost my job and I didn't feel comfortable spending that much money with the, trainers, supplements, all that.
Yeah.
And barely try to make it by.
Yeah, no, I mean that I would say that is the biggest sacrifice that I've had to make personally, is the cost. It is so expensive to do a show. I mean, by the time you start prep to finish prep with supplementation, coaching, eating all the right foods, you get a spray tan, all this stuff. You got to buy shorts. I mean, you're looking at $3,000-$4,000 at least. I mean, and it's tough, man. It's really hard.
Yeah, I think I was doing about 700 a month between food, supplements, and training. And
Wow.
and there was times where my trainer couldn't make it, so I trained with his trainer, which is IFBB Pro Mike Morris. He's from here too. So
okay.
I mean, I'll never forget getting on the leg press. We loaded up like 700 pounds. I can't even lift the plate.
Yeah.
so those two lifted up. He's like, okay, you're gonna go for 15. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're funny.
Yeah. Dang. So so besides the financial aspect of it, how was it with your hemophilia? Were you able to live properly, or was there things that you had to learn that you could do and you couldn't do?
Actually it's funny. The more active I am, the less I bleed. So I mean, obviously, I'm more strict on infusing on time there.
Yeah.
But the only limitations I have was from my left ankle being target joint. So I'm doing seated calf raises. I can't drop my heel all the way.
Yeah. Okay. So what are your target joints that you have?
Left elbow, left ankle.
Okay. So mine's left elbow, right ankle. Okay. Is your ankle like completely locked up, or do you still have a little bit of movement there?
They said I have about 30% range of motion.
Okay.
I've never gotten it fused, no replacement, none of that, because I also bowl as well, and 100% of my weight is on that left ankle.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that's another thing I want to get into. So, I mean, it seems like you're just like a go-getter. Like you just like, you have these goals and you just like, at least you give it a shot. Some people are just too scared to even start. And the fact that you made it into the Professional Bowlers Association, like, tell me about that journey. How did you get started?
Gosh, I started the month I turned 16. I had one of my half sisters was in town. She bowled for years and, talked a big game. Like, oh yeah, I can beat you.
Yeah.
She absolutely killed me.
Really?
And then I decided to take lessons and I got better and better at it. And,
yeah,
doctors loved it. And, it's like one of my, the guy who taught the MMA, he said it's impossible to get good at anything if you're consistently doing it and working at it.
Yeah.
So, that was kind of my release. I would get mad at my sister and like, hey, I'm going to the bowling center. Let's go practice for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And now, like, even before I get ready for a tournament, I'm 50, 60 games a week.
Really? Wow. See, like anytime I bowl, like I rarely go bowling because I always get bleeds in my fingers and in my wrist. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, it could be like horrible technique or something, but like every time I have it's a bleed. I can only last like maybe 1 or 2 games. So the fact that you played that many, my hat's off to you on that.
Mostly because you're using the house ball, because if it's not fit for you, so you literally have to grip it.
Yeah.
When you have one drill for yourself, it's a very relaxed grip. Like you just put your
really?
hand in,
okay.
Relax
it. Pro tip there. Pro tip. I like it. That's awesome. So how you doing in the pandemic right now, man? How's health and how's life? Is it any different?
It actually helped me.
It did?
Because it was March, because I teach at a medical billing coding at one of these local colleges here.
Yeah.
And we got a call like, hey, we're going to send everyone to work from home. This is getting put we put 2,000 students online in 72 hours.
Oh, wow.
It happened quick. We got to stay home. I'm like, okay, I can now control every single meal I eat. I don't have,
Dude, that's awesome.
I'm not missing.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, let's do this.
So
So that's when I
you're teaching
started.
online right now.
Yeah.
Everything's online. Wow, dude,
Yeah.
that's
We're
so
not
awesome.
even expected to go back till they're thinking June, July.
Yeah.
But, I'm 13 days out from my second vaccine. So I'm fully covered.
Okay.
We're good to
Nice.
go.
Nice. That's awesome. Did you ever get COVID?
No.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, there's a time when people thought I had it because I got a headache, but
yeah.
that was it.
Yeah, luckily I didn't get it either. So we're just now rolling out vaccines here in St. Louis. So I'll get mine pretty soon as well.
It's and I mean, I went on the first day. It was 2 hours in line.
Really?
It was a long wait, but
Were you
and I
scared to
went.
get it? Like, were you like, man, I wonder if this is gonna react weird with my hemophilia or?
No, I actually text my hematologist and I'm like, hey, I have an opportunity to get this. If as healthcare worker, she's like, first of all, you're getting it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And she's like, yeah, it's just infused before, so that's
Yeah.
what I did.
Easy enough.
At first I was against it, but because I'm almost done with my master's, and I remember reading about it was measles, how because we're dropping under a minimum threshold that it's coming back. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I'll get it. If anything, I'm more protected.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you so you're doing coding now as your profession. Did you pick that career path because of your hemophilia, like thinking like, hey, this is something that I could do, or was this something that you were really just wanting to go after?
More of option one. So I
Okay.
was working I was doing a lot of event security. Like I've done security for the Cardinals, a lot of concerts and things like that. Coming home limping every day.
Yeah.
And in elementary school, in high school, I played a lot of video games. So my sister's like, "Hey, you like being on the computer? Why don't you do medical billing and coding?"
Yeah.
I didn't even research it one bit. I just signed up
Really?
at the closest
You just
school to
jumped
me.
in. You're just like, man, I'm
um,
tired of my ankle hurting like crazy. Just give me something.
it's funny because it's not something I love to do, but
Yeah.
there's always some satisfaction when you get really good at something.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like definitely. Like anytime you start something and you go through the process and finish it, you can definitely be proud of yourself. It's crazy because like I've done the same thing, like I struggled for so long trying to find a career that would suit my life. And I did the same thing. I researched online, I looked into coding, but like more of like the like website coding stuff like that, and
That's a whole different animal.
and man, I just couldn't ever pull the trigger on it because I was like, deep down in my heart, I was like, I just know that I'm not passionate about it. And like the way that I feel like my life is set up now is like, anything that I take on, like I have to truly ask myself, is this going to fulfill me? Is this going to make me happy? And, I don't like to live for the money. It's like, I'll go through some adversity or whatever it takes. I just somehow at the end of the road, I'm going to find fulfillment in what I'm doing. If I don't, for me, I just can't follow through, like you followed through. Like I can't, like, if I don't like it, I'll fail. So it's just something that I had to learn about myself. And luckily I'm in a position now where I get to work from home. I'm off my feet and it's pretty nice.
Well, it's kind of worked both ways because I didn't like it at first, but because of talking to the insurance companies and I was working with my specialty pharmacy, like, hey, can you call this insurance? This is what they're telling us on your with your factor at that. And I know insurance is so well that now I even get to speak for one of the pharmaceutical companies that I get to teach what I know about insurance.
Really? Are you
Um,
serious? What? Okay, that's awesome. So how often are you doing those talks?
Whenever they call me.
Yeah.
The last year it's been real slow because
Well,
of
yeah.
COVID, but
Well, that's really
but
good, man, because that's an important thing. Like I deal with a lot of younger guys who are transitioning from that age where they're on their parents' insurance and they're getting ready to transition into their own. And I see a lot of them struggle and sometimes even go without medication or have to go on the manufacturer programs in order to get medication for a while. And I know myself, I struggled during that time frame, and I've got bills now for $300,000-$400,000 because I had to get factor and I didn't have insurance. So, I mean, that's awesome that's something that you specialize in. So if you guys are listening, and I mean, reach out to Chris about that. Like, I mean, he'd be a huge resource to help you guys. That's
it
awesome.
was it was just really something unexpected, and now it's I know an insurance like the back of my hand, the terms, and
Yeah.
you know
Yeah. I'm getting better at it too. Like I know at first people would talk about copays and, you know, what any premiums. And I was just like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know. I don't understand.
Well, the way I break it down, the premium, think of it as your membership fee. You know, if you're part of a gym, you're not going to get the benefits without paying your monthly payment.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's the easiest way I explain that, because it's very easy to get confused.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a lot of really good resources out there too for our community that help with premium and copay. And so if anybody that's listening has any questions about that, I can help in that area as well. I'm not sure if you know of, do you know of any like good foundations or resources out there for helping people with insurance?
There was one that I use. Well, I don't remember their name, but I mainly rely on the copay assistance programs that are available and that. And
PSI,
I think
PSI is a pretty popular one.
That's the one.
Is that the one? That one's the most popular one. They only have like certain enrollment periods, and so you kind of got to get on that list and become aware whenever they launch their enrollment period. But yeah, I mean, so if you guys ever need help with that, feel free to contact me, and I'd love to help in that area too, because I've learned so much through my experience of not giving a crap, not wanting to care, and then to finally being like, okay, I'm an adult now, I've got all these bills, I have to care now. So yeah, reach out to us for that. So you're a coder, but when you were a kid, what did you want to be? I mean, like, was there a big dream that you had like when you were a kid?
I wanted to go into the Navy.
Really?
Mainly because that's what my dad did. And I tried. I got down to it because there was nothing in their manual that says, hemophilia, this and that. It came down to like, hey, how are we going to get you your medicine if you're on a boat?
Yeah.
Okay. I know.
I wonder, do you know anyone who's ever made it into the military?
I've heard of a mild that has. I don't know the name. I'll have to make a couple of calls to see if I can find out. But I heard there was a mild in the Air Force.
Okay. Wow. I tried as well. All my friends after high school, that's where they went. And I wasn't smart. None of us were smart. We all loved sports and we sucked at school. And then after school, we're like, all right, let's go to the military. I tried. And then I was the only one who didn't get in. So that sucked, man. Cause I wanted to I was just like, I want to contribute somehow, but I don't really know how I'm going to be able to contribute. And so that was tough being denied to go down that path.
But like with all the advocacies that we have, like Washington Days and that, to me, it's almost the same thing. Like, we don't get to serve for our country, but for our local community, it's almost the same thing.
Yeah. So I need to do that one year. That's the one thing I haven't done yet is participate in the Washington Days. I've, for some reason, I'm very intimidated by politics, and it scares me so much that I will do anything to not go. But my goal is to, find some courage and go within the next couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one thing. Like when I go to vote for someone, I look at healthcare first.
Yeah,
that's the most important. I'm being selfish. That's the most important to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, fact, it's too expensive to have a bad healthcare plan.
Yeah. So I know for me, when I was a kid, I went through so many different things like mentally and physically, and I didn't really know other hemophiliacs like myself. And, I got to it when I got older. I was like, man, I look back and I was like, I wish I would have known this back then. And, so now my goal is like, I want to be that mentor now for the next generation of bleeders that are coming up. So I wanted to ask you, based off of your life experience now, if you could go back and tell your younger self something, that would help you benefit, what would that be? Is there anything that you look back now and just say, man, if I would have only done this better or knew this, I would be in so much better shape now?
Obviously infusing when I should, because, me when I was little, I would wait to the last minute until the pain was just unbearable. Because honestly, none of us like infusing. That, like sticking yourself and getting vein access, just not the most pleasant thing.
Yeah. Did your parents leave that up to you? Like, hey, you let us know if you need an infusion?
I wouldn't even tell them.
Yeah.
I'll just wait till the pain got so bad.
Yeah. So that's you and I both then. That was exactly what I did. I didn't want to tell my friends. I didn't want to tell my parents. And I put it off until like my ankles and my elbows, they used to swell up so big to where I couldn't put my shoes on. I mean, it was bad. So
I mean, I used to have the little helmet. My dad used to sew like foam into the inside of my jeans.
really, dang, jeez.
I mean,
So
I'm jealous of these kids now. They're like, oh yeah, I've only had 1 or 2 bleeds. I'm like, man, I used to get that
see,
in a
I don't get,
month.
I can't even comprehend that right now, but I love it. Like I love it for the next generation, but man, it's like 1 bleed, 2 bleeds. That was a week. That was 1 week for me. And I did that for months and months and years, just every week, 1 or 2 bleeds. So I don't get it, but I love it for the next generation.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of people ask you like, well, would you ever go back and not have it? I'm like, no. I'm like, I've got to do so much cool stuff and opportunities that my normal friends don't because I have this.
Wow, that's awesome. That's crazy. I was actually one of the questions that I wrote down for you was if you could start over without hemophilia, would you? And so you say no. That's powerful,
Yeah,
man. That's
the pain
powerful
isn't
because
great.
what's that?
So the pain isn't great, but I mean,
Yeah.
like over here in Arizona when I was a teen, we got to go water rafting down the San Juan River. We got to do some rock climbing. Like we got to do some things that would cost a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
and it was part of our programming.
So it's the
I mean, all these
experiences
cool
that
people.
you've been able to
Yeah,
have, the relationships that you've been able to build. What about like the mentality? Like, like for me, that's like my big thing is like who I've become today. I'm not sure I'd be the same person without hemophilia. Is that how you
I
feel?
mean, it's really the truth. I'm like, look, I
Yeah.
mean, because without that, because of hemophilia, I tried to stay out of healthcare, and where I
Yeah.
ended up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know what I would have done. I'm like, I would have played football for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
So
because that's the one sport I've always wanted to do. I never got to play.
was there ever a transition phase in your life where you were just like, you're going through life and you're like, man, I just hate my life. I hate hemophilia. And then maybe you transition to, you know what? Maybe this isn't so bad. Maybe I should embrace what I have and make the best out of, what life has given me.
Yeah, I had a good. I mean, I still talk to him today. A good mentor over at the association here.
Mm-hmm.
He since moved out of state where I was in a bad time. Like there was at one point where I actually got arrested
Yeah.
because of bad decisions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, luckily, nothing came out of that.
Yeah.
That was
Man,
a big eye opener.
I was a troublemaker when I was a kid, man. I got so many traffic tickets that one time I had to like spend 4 days in jail just to make up for it because I was young and I couldn't afford the penalties or whatever for it. And like that was, I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but it's like that's one question that I have is like, man, if you ever went to like jail for a long period of time, would they even give you your medication? Like would they, or would you just
It
like
was it was infusion day for me because I remember I got arrested on a Sunday night. I had to wait to see the judge till Monday, and they wanted to keep me in for a week. I'm like, well, I get paid Friday. I could bail myself out.
yeah.
I'm like, hey, I got to do my medicine. Like, oh yeah, well, you shouldn't have been in here,
Oh my gosh.
boy.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, and those
Well,
police these days, they get rough, man. So it's like, you could be like, oh, I've got hemophilia, and they're just beating up on you. Like,
I had a mark from the handcuffs, and I was only in handcuffs for like 30 minutes,
yeah,
4 days.
yeah,
It was insane.
dude, man, I'm telling you, like, they put me for me going in there for traffic tickets. They put me through the worst like process ever. Like, it still haunts me. Like, I walked into a room when I got checked in, and I had to check myself in, and they put me in a room with a bunch of other guys. They put us in a circle, told us to drop our clothes, butt naked. And we were all I'm looking at all these guys in their eyes, and they're doing the search on me and everything. They put me in the outfit. I go in there and they don't even give me a bed. There's a bunk bed and there's 2 guys already in there who are in there for a lot longer, like a couple years or something. And they're like, yeah, you can sleep right there by the toilet. And I was just like, wow, man. And it was the longest, it felt like months that I was in there. And when I got out, I was just like, oh, the air, this feels so good. Like there's nothing more scary than jail. Like don't go to jail. Don't go to jail.
Yeah, I mean, because I was in for about 10 hours before I got bailed out, and then I had to
Yeah.
go see the judge, in the time frame. But for a
Mm.
couple years, I still was traumatized. Like, I can't. I'm so afraid
Yeah.
to do anything.
Dang.
And me, like, it was. I was a stupid decision. I kicked the screen door, and domestic
Yeah.
violence. It's
Yeah. Hey man, I mean, it happens, it's real. It's real life. It happens. And that's something that we have to, think about. Like, cause I thought about that. I was like, man, as hemophiliacs, we should think about that. Cause I guarantee you there's gonna be more of us who do something stupid and go to jail. And it's like, I almost want to get like a police officer on here on the podcast and be like, hey, like, what rights do we have as a hemophiliac if we're ever in jail?
well, I bowl with a retired cop.
Yeah. Really. I wonder
So
what he would,
if you
I
want
wonder,
if you want that,
I
I could
wonder
probably
what,
make it happen.
I wonder what he would say about that. Cause like, I'm pretty sure there's like a cop out there that has hemophilia. I feel like we
It
have a
has to
couple.
be,
I feel like we have a couple of them out there.
even if it's just desk duty. It has to be.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna have to look into that because I'm really curious about that.
It's just not a good place to be.
Yeah, yeah. So have you ever been like gone through stages of like depression, but since from having hemophilia, is that something you battle with?
Um, I haven't had a whole lot with depression for the hemophilia.
Really?
Times where it just sucks. I don't want to do it, and I mean, I guess it could, but not like,
That's
okay,
really
yeah,
good.
I want to end this.
It's really good to
Um,
hear because I feel like a lot of us struggle with depression. So that's awesome to hear that you've been able to avoid that aspect. What do you think there's anything that you do or any way that maybe your life is set up that has helped you come up that way where you're not experiencing those, stages of depression that so many of us are?
um, I think I just have a really good support system at home, and
Really?
maybe because we'll see, my mom's from Hispanic mom from South America,
Yeah,
where just how she raised, she's very spiritual and religious and all that, and it's just I can go to her for anything.
that's awesome.
If I need to talk, I'm like, hey, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
There are times where, yeah, I've blown up on my parents, like, well, I didn't ask for this,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, yeah, I should have said that.
Yeah. I bet.
I
So
mean, there are times where it's just, yeah, it does suck, but
yeah.
what's way I think of it is, I'm just wasting away the times I have left in this life,
Yeah.
being depressed. So let's snap out of it, do something fun.
Yeah. Well, good, man. That's awesome to hear. I'm really glad that you're not like going through that. I get the privilege of working with a lot of younger guys or young adults in the community, and some of them are facing really hard times. They're very depressed. And I think the common denominator is, their support system and what you mentioned. And they don't have the right support system and they're alone and they're dealing with it by themselves. And a lot of times they like neglect all their responsibilities of it. And then it kind of catches up to you. So that's something that like I'm very, very passionate about because I've experienced it and I've been able to overcome some of those really hard times. But I know there's a lot of guys out there and, I'm in the process of working on like a good framework that maybe could help other people when they get in those situations. But I wish there was more programs out there that, looked that helped individuals like that, individuals that had chronic disorders and they don't have the resources available, they don't have the family support system, something to just give them a chance, someone to be there and like, all right, what, we're going to invest in you, we're going to give you an opportunity to succeed. So I just feel like that's a little bit an unfair aspect of the bleeding disorder community.
Well, I think part of it is, maybe we have too much pride to ask for help when
Yeah.
it's needed. I've been there myself, where
Yeah.
there's times where I know I'm like, I should probably ask someone to help on, and wouldn't do
Hmm.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. What advice would you give to new parents? I get a ton of new parents that message me and they want to know, they're scared, to be honest. Like cause a lot of them, like for some individuals, it runs in their family and for some it's just spontaneous. And they're just like, man, what do I do? What can my kid do? Like, how is his life going to play out? So like, what advice would you give those new parents?
Whenever I talk to them, I honestly don't think there's anything to be afraid of anymore. Our factor has come a long way.
Yeah.
Obviously, even since obviously we know the bad blood area and all that, and we hear stories, but look at all these kids that have had, really one bleed, two bleeds,
Yeah.
They don't have to really worry about it.
Yeah.
Obviously that, some contact sports you can't do and things like that, but
Yeah.
um, it's the medication's so good now. It's lasting so much longer.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. I don't even, and that's something that I like, that I'm so hopeful for. And it's like, if I, and I, you can see like through my journey and my bodybuilding stuff that I do, like I try to use that as a platform to inspire the next generation to push their limits and to believe higher in themselves. And, we're suffering from joint damage because of the way that we grew up. And, I'm not sure about you, but in the 80s, a lot of us got hepatitis C or HIV. And so I
I
actually
was exposed to the Hep C.
okay. So was
Um,
I. So was I.
I
How has that affected your life so far?
Um, again, this is what we're unfortunate. I've never really had a viral load come up. We check it every year. There's
Mm-hmm.
times where I had to go to specialists because it looked like it was starting to, and then
Mm-hmm.
my doctor said like, "Hey, we'll still check it every year, but I think you may have cleared it." Because I told him like, "Hey, put me on the medication, done."
Yeah.
Because I heard that's why.
The medication's easier now. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure it's like a pill or something each week or
I think for like 12 weeks or something like that. But I've
yeah.
heard of the injections, which just drain you.
Yeah. Yeah. I did the injections. I did the interferon injections. It was 3 months. It was one injection every week. And you were just sicker than a dog. You would just be throwing up all week long. I had the chills. And I lived in my mom's basement. I had to quit my job. And that's what started the whole bodybuilding stuff. Was I was like looking at myself in the mirror after that 3 months. And I was like, man, you look like shit. You don't offer the world anything. Like I was so depressed, man, after that. I was just like, what do you offer the world? And that's when I made a change. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna. I wrote down. I started to gain clarity. I'm like, all right, if I'm gonna, press forward, I'm gonna have to like make my life meaningful. And I decided to just give back to the community. And I wanted to be a leader and lead by example. Started going to the gym, and then I ran into a men's physique poster, and I was like, hey, I could do that. Like, I can't be a beast. Like my body just doesn't work that way to like get as big as the heavyweights. But I was like, I could probably do men's physique. And that's led me to where I am today. But like, they told me my liver was on the final stage of liver cirrhosis. So
Wow.
they were right after that meeting, they were like, you need to get on the injections right now, like next week. And so it was crazy, but it's definitely something that I'm scared about for the future. I don't know how my liver is going to hold up, but I think we're as hemophiliacs, we're kind of used to living our lives, um, preciously, living it like it's our last days, not taking each day for granted.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, but
crazy.
been there. Like I
Yeah.
said, unfortunate where it's never come up, but that doesn't mean it won't in the future.
Yeah.
That's why,
Yeah.
especially during COVID, I'm like, hey, I gotta drop this weight because
Yeah.
I'll tell you, when I got sent to start working from home in April, I was 220 pounds,
Yeah.
and I dropped 40 pounds in just under 100 days.
Wow. Nice. So
So
speaking about dropping weight, what is this Dolce diet thing? What is that?
you've probably heard of it in a background way.
Okay.
So he is famous for being the strength and nutrition coach for a lot of the UFC fighters.
Okay.
Ronda Rousey,
Mm-hmm.
Vitor Belfort, Rampage Jackson.
Okay.
Those are some of his biggest ones.
Okay.
The way I found out about it is I'm a huge Ronda Rousey fan, so I got her
Yeah.
ebook. I'm
Oh,
driving home
nice.
from work, and she mentions this like, well, it felt like I didn't really have to diet this and that. I pulled over to the side of the road. I wrote it down. I'm expecting it to be a lot of money. I look
Yeah.
into it. I'm like, this is actually affordable, and it's nothing right. That's anything different. It's really healthy
Nice.
eating, and kind of get the chemicals out of the body, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
I did it. I lost some weight, and I stopped doing it. And then that was a couple of years ago. And now with COVID, I'm like, let's jump back on this.
Yeah. Well, interesting. It's really cool. Yeah, I'll have to look into it a little bit more. I know the meat diet, all meat, the carnivore diet, that's getting big these days. And there's a lot of fad diets. And, I personally don't believe in like fad diets. I've got my own little philosophy that I've worked on, and it's not that I worked on, it's the fact I've hired a lot of different coaches over the years competing, and I've kind of accumulated all the information from all of them, and then just, took their best practices and made it my own. But none of it really has to do with like, special foods or anything. It's kind
Yeah,
of
that's why I do what I do, because I had to kind of believe in the principles,
yeah,
Like I tried keto, I got so sick off of it. I was getting lightheaded and this, and like, I can't do this. I can't sustain this for my life.
the keto flu. I know that's what they say.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know you're taking medicine to get, I mean, I could deal with pain, but man, I'm a sissy when it comes to headaches.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man.
Like take my head off. Like,
yeah, that's funny. And so like recently you and I have been talking, more about your MMA training, and like, I want to talk about MMA because it's such a up and coming rising sport that I know there's going to be younger kids listening who are just like, I want to be an MMA fighter. Like that's where the attention is. Boxing's starting to get bigger. Like a lot of YouTube boxing fights are happening now. Let's talk about MMA. What drove you to want to start training, and how did that work for you?
So the guy that teaches it, I actually went to elementary school with, so he knew about the hemophilia for a year. I've known him for about 25 years. And he was always into karate. So what he does, I just summed it up as MMA. He does Thai karate, which it mixes up a little bit of everything, because there's some people that be boxing that are strict boxers. Jiu-jitsu guys, they're strict, and this does a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was, I started first, and then my daughter jumped in about a month after I did. I wanted to push the limits. I've told people all the time, like, well, you don't know your limits until you go past them. Yeah. And you can dial it down.
Yeah.
It was really just a mental test more than anything. It was like, I tried it, a couple of years before that, it was fun to do. And, my daughter getting older, and like she's 12 now, like, well,
yeah,
one day I'm probably gonna have to protect her. Like,
yeah,
like I'm not always gonna have a knife on me.
Dude, it's the reality, man. Like we have to learn those skills as well. I mean, especially in this day and age, we have to be able to protect ourselves and our kids. So I commend you for doing that. And I've done that as well. I've got fighting experience and training, and I fought in the Golden Gloves when I was 19. I'm not sure if you knew that, but that wasn't a good experience. That was a time frame when I hated my life, and I knew what I was getting into. And I fought in the Golden Gloves and got knocked out in the first round, and they stopped the fight because my nose was bleeding, and I broke my nose. It still isn't fixed. I still breathe horribly. I snore when I sleep. I mean, it's annoying, but I remember, staring at the ceiling the night after the knockout, and I was like, man, what was I thinking? Like, that is not okay for me to do. But the training aspect, I mean, it is fun. And I believe that that's a skill that we need. And I'm not going to lie, since then, I mean, it was, I'll say 3 months ago, we had an intruder at our house, and I was trying to I was doing my best to be just cordial. And I was like, listen, you need to get out of here. And he was messed up on some kind of drugs or something. I don't know what he was on. And I was like, all right, I'm going to take you to your car. And then he kept on trying to hit me and punch me in the face. And I was like, you do not want to do that. Do not hit me in the face. And eventually he ended up spitting in my face and then trying to hit me. And I ended up getting him in a chokehold that I learned in MMA, and I brought him down to the ground. And then, dude, that's it. Once I had him a rear naked choke, and it was in, he's either going to go to sleep or something, and so it's effective training. We need to know how to do that. We just because we're hemophiliacs doesn't mean, we're babies. We're men. We got people to protect.
Bad thing is I can't even do a rear naked choke because my elbow won't go all the way to my shoulder, because you got to get it and you got to close it in. Right under the neck. That's as far as I go.
Like this, and then you push down like that. Yeah, I mean, I can't with my left. This is as far as my left arm goes, so I couldn't do it with my left arm, but my right arm I definitely can. So that's my
It's
go-to.
yeah, it's funny because I try to do it on my daughter. She'll get out of it every time. She just holds and drops down. She's out.
That's funny. Oh man. So if you're a parent and your kid has hemophilia and they're like, Dad, I want to do mixed martial arts. Would you let them?
I would, but I think I would try to stay away from the striking, like the
Yeah.
grappling and all that. You know, I mean,
So set some limits is what you're saying.
what the scary part is because we had a bunch of bigger guys, and the coaches would even say, "This is a sport where there will be injuries. There's
Yeah.
no avoid." Like, I was doing a roundhouse kick, met with someone else, I broke my toe.
Yeah.
I did a 15-hour, catch wrestling boot camp,
Mm-hmm.
and I left with cartilage damage on my ribs because the whole first day, I got thrown probably 100 times.
Yeah.
And they even say like, this is baptism by fire.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
but I got the certificate for that. I'm like, it was
That's awesome.
insane.
Hey,
But you learn a lot of useful skills. You learn to think in these situations. I work, 250-pound guy on top of me. I can't breathe. So I'm here just trying to take it slow, get my breath,
yeah.
And figure a way out.
Yeah. Wow, man.
Because although what they say, the last place you want to be is under a heavyweight. Because they got all that weight on you, but you can still get out.
Yeah.
And I think it's a useful skill. There's times where even that catch wrestling camp, we taught someone's got you by the arm. Okay, I can get you in a wrist lock real easy.
Yeah. So I know that there is a professional fighter who has hemophilia. I don't know his exact name. I know he has a book, and Lori Kelly actually sent me the link to his book, and I haven't read it yet. But if anyone knows what that book is, comment, let me know. I'm gonna look into it again. But I think that's pretty incredible. Someone pursuing that, and for me personally, I am thankful that my journey has turned out the way it has, because I want to live a fulfilling life. When I'm dead, I want to look back and say, all of my desires have been fulfilled. I lived, I loved, I mattered, and everything that I wanted to do, I did. And I always tell myself, and I tell other people too, and it's the truth. Like, it might sound sad, but it's true. I'd rather live 10 more years right now of a completely fulfilled life than 50 years of playing it safe and never going after what I desired, and looking back being like, what did my life mean? Or I wonder if my life would have been better if I would have tried it. So that's my personal outlook that I've gained from having hemophilia. And it's just
kind of funny because my parents do like the same thing. I remember when I was younger, I was put in braces. And they were saying, the doctor was saying, like, well, what if he only lives, another 10 years? And my mom looked at the doctor like, hey, he's only live another 10 years. He's going to live the best damn 10 years of his life.
Yeah.
If that's all you got, why hold back?
Yeah. Yeah, man. My life changed a lot too. When I had to change my mindset, because at first I hated my life with hemophilia. And then later on, I made a mental adjustment that took me quite a while. And one of my favorite quotes, it talks about, playing the cards that you were dealt like they were the cards that you wanted the entire time, so just, and that's, I just like that mindset and that attitude is just, play your cards like, yep, thank you. I've got hemophilia. Cool. Let's get it. Let's go. Yeah. My journey is going to be harder. Yeah. It's going to be tougher, but it's going to be worth it. So once you change your mind to be like, all right, cool. It is what it is. I've got some extra obstacles. Like when I compete on stage against these guys, like I'm competing against the best, and it's like, I know that I have to do more. I know that I have to go in the gym every day and be like, I'm in pain. This is going to suck. I've got an extra battle, but I know that, and I know that it's going to make me stronger. And one thing that I've learned is this world will not give you a handicap card. So there is no special handicap card that says, hey, I've got hemophilia, give me an advantage or give me what I'm looking for. Listen, no one cares. The world doesn't care what you have. Eventually you have to take accountability for what you have and make the best out of it. Just be intentional with your life. Understand, there's going to be hard times. So
Yeah,
But
I've even hired some professionals for that. Like with the bowling, I hired a hypnotherapist so I can get the mental game right.
yeah,
Because with any professional sport, everyone can play at a very high level. It's the mindset is what really separates everybody.
dude, I love that you said that because, and I love that you're a professional, like any professional sport, like there's such a fine line when you cross over from amateur to professional, and that's what I learned. And that's what I'm obsessed with. I love it, man. Like my first career path was being a golfer. And it was like, everyone was so good, but it was like, but what's the difference between the amateur golfer and the pro? And it's all that mindset stuff, the belief, the confidence. And there's like so many little pieces that you start putting together. And that's what I'm experiencing now with bodybuilding. And, I'm in my, sixth year of competing, and I'm learning to, I look at it like a puzzle, I'm finding all these little bitty puzzle pieces, and I'm stacking them and putting them together. And every year when I fail, I take that puzzle piece, and the next year I put it together, and I take what I've learned, and now I'm starting to find success. My first 4 shows, dude, it was last place. And I was like, okay, I was proud of myself because I was a severe hemophiliac on stage, but it's like, come on, man. Like, what does it take to be one of the best? Like, I want to feel what it feels like to be the best. And I had to start finding those little pieces, so I commend you for being a professional athlete and getting to that level. I think that's awesome. Do you have any more plans like in the future to keep on pursuing that?
So I just reinstated my membership because it's not like, baseball, you got to get drafted, you have to have
Yeah.
minimum requirements. Because I know with golf, you have to qualify.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bowling, you'd have to have a 200 average for the last 2 years and then just pay your money.
Yeah.
I'm at a job now where I only teach Monday through Thursday. I'm like, well,
yeah,
I didn't pay more money. Like, let's try this.
Yeah.
Because most regionals, Fridays are practice session, bowl, and then the tournament Saturday, Sunday, come home. So, I already did an event a couple of weeks ago here. I got one in 2 weeks in Laughlin, Nevada, and then I got one that's not a PBA event 2 weeks after that. So I'm
nice.
We're gonna see what happens,
dude. Start posting more about that. I think I told you post more. I want to see it, man. I want to follow the journey. So
yeah, I really need to, because that's one thing that I keep, because I hate calling myself a professional when I'm not the one on TV.
Yeah,
like it's because I look up to those guys.
It's fun. Yeah,
but technically, I qualify.
But you're a professional, but there's levels to it. And but I mean, hey, you got plenty of time, man. Plenty of time. I'd love to see you on the big stage. So.
Oh, I mean, even from regional professional to like the national guys, there's a big gap.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys who win on the regional level all the time that cannot make it on the national tour. It is rough.
Yeah. So where can people follow you if they do want to follow you? Can they follow you on Facebook, Instagram? What accounts do you have?
I'm on a little bit of everything.
Are you?
I have Instagram. It's Chris_Ingram_DDC.
Okay.
That's the one I did for the diet stuff, because my whole goal with when I became the Dolce Diet coach, did that class, was to start doing more for bowlers and for hemophilia.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us, I think we don't think our weight contributes to some of these bleeds. I'll tell you, when I decided to lose weight, I was at the doctor. I was 0.1 point short of being put on diabetes medication.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, no, I've already got one condition that involves needles. Like,
no,
not happening.
That would be
like, I should. Yeah, she's like, well, I should put you on the medicine. I'm like, no, give me a little bit of time.
Yeah.
I'll get it off.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
Not doing it.
Yeah.
And I was within normal limits, all by food.
Yeah.
But you got to think all your weight, because like even if you look at bowling, you can be 300, 400 pounds still bowl, but the guys who are really making it, they're actually dropping weight because they got to be more athletic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And bowling's not really something you think of as, having to be athletic for, but it helps.
Yeah, definitely. Well, awesome, man. Well, I wish you luck on your journey with that. And we'll stay in contact. We'll be following each other.
Yeah.
And one thing that I want to end on, because we're almost to an hour here, is, one piece a final advice of everything that you've learned about life and hemophilia, something that you just want to pass on to the next generation.
I guess just follow your heart. There's times where I wanted to do things like, no, I have to think about this, this, and this, all that. And I guess, I think Arnold said it best, and his 6 rules to success, his very last one, he said, give back. Because if people quit giving back, then it's like the support ends.
Wow, man. I love it. Yeah, that's really good. Man, that's huge. And that's played a big role in my life too. I think that my life really started to change when I stopped looking at life from just my perspective, and when I decided, what can I do to give back? That's when it all changed. So I love that you said that. That's really powerful. It actually gave me chills. I got chills. I got chills in the last episode I did. And I just got chills again when you said that, because and the reason why I got chills is because I have personal experience of what that really means. Some people can just listen to something like that and just be like, oh, we'll give back. But no, really think about, what Chris said, and think about what that would mean. And even when you're going through some of your toughest times of adversity, if you can still think about giving to others, that'll help you get out of, the bad spot that you're in. So I hope people, really take this message to heart. I hope everyone learned a lot from our podcast today, and I appreciate you jumping on. And we did it pretty short notice too. So
yeah, I think within 24 hours.
Yeah, man. So I appreciate it. It's awesome. So thanks again. And so I'm going to launch yours this week. And then next week I've got one on hemophilia and cryptocurrency. So that's going to be fun. So it's a guy who has hemophilia and he specializes in it. So I've got a ton of questions about that and where that's going. So that'll be fun.
It's a hot market.
I know.
I don't understand any of it, so I don't get in.
Yeah, I know. Me neither. And he's trying to get me to buy some. So I'm like, oh, all right, we'll see. But all right, brother. Well, you have a great evening. Good rest of your day.